Question 967. Regulation Z, blank, A is also known as the Truth in Lending Act, B. Governs the Zoom rate, the interest rates for high-yield bonds, C. Requires that borrowers be informed of the true costs of credit, D. Both A and C. Correct answer is D. Both A and C. The Truth in Lending Act, TILA, Title I of the Consumer Credit Protection Act, also known as Regulation Z, promotes the informed use of consumer credit by requiring disclosures about its costs and terms. Question 968. A pest control inspection of a property in escrow finds no termites, but conditions are discovered which might lead to an infestation later. Whose responsibility is it to pay for correcting these conditions? A. The buyer must pay for the conditions to be corrected. B. The seller must pay for the conditions to be corrected. C. The escrow company must pay for the condition to be corrected. D. None of the above. Correct answer is D. None of the above. The buyer would pay for such pre-termite infestation conditions to be addressed, but only if she chooses. She is not compelled to do so. Question 969. A contingency clause in an agreement should A. State a time limit for its conditions to be met. B. State how the parties will be informed of the fulfillment or waiving of the clause. C. Both A and B. D. Neither A nor B. Correct answer is C. Both A and B. If a contingency clause is not met by a party within the agreed-upon timeframe, then the other party can still continue with the transaction, but is not required to do so. Question 970. Which of the following statements is correct regarding a buyer's agent? A. Buyer's agents are not entitled to a commission. B. Being a buyer's agent is a non-permissible arrangement in California. C. Compensation for a buyer's agent may be provided by another party besides the buyer. D. Buyer's agents do not enter into fiduciary relationship with a buyer. Correct answer is C. Compensation for a buyer's agent may be provided by another party besides the buyer. Commissions for the buyer's agents are sometimes distributed based on terms of the listing agreement with the seller. Question 971. A purchase agreement must include A. Acceleration clause, B. Release clause, C. Executory clause, D. Alienation clause. Correct answer is C. Executory clause. While other clauses may be found in a purchase agreement, also called a deposit receipt, it must include an executory clause, i.e., a promise of performance. Question 972. Which of the following is not essential to the creation of an agency relationship? A. Principal's competency. B. Agreement to pay consideration. C. Principal's consent. D. Establishment of a fiduciary arrangement. Correct answer is B. Agreement to pay consideration. Creating an agency does not require the payment of a fee for validity. Question 973. If a contract is agreed to under the threat of duress, it is A. Valid. B. Voidable. C. Enforceable under certain circumstances. D. None of the above. Correct answer is B. Voidable. A contract entered into by a party under duress is unenforceable against that party and can be voided. Question 974. John is currently keeping $5,000 in an impound account on a trust deed on which he is getting payments from Gwendolyn. Which of the following is true regarding the impound account? A. The account can never exceed $5,000. B. The account must have a balance maintained that is equal to 1 year's taxes and insurance. C. The account can generate interest for John if he keeps it in a saving bank. D. The account benefits the trustor and the beneficiary. Correct answer is D. The account benefits the trustor and the beneficiary. Impound accounts are used by lenders to pay regular, expected charges on the property like taxes and insurance. Such accounts aid the beneficiary, safeguarding the property from the borrower defaulting on the loan if he cannot make the payments. Impound accounts also protect the borrower who can make small monthly payments which accrue for covering major expenses. Question 975. Thomas, an elderly man with a collection of classic cars, lives next door to Bobby, a 16-year-old high school junior, and his family. Thomas promises that if Bobby shovels snow from the sidewalk in front of Thomas's house during the upcoming winter, then Thomas will let Bobby select a car to keep from the older man's collection. Bobby does, in fact, keeps the sidewalk free from snow throughout the winter. In April, however, a few days before Bobby plans to pick out his car, Thomas dies. Thomas's estate administrator refuses to release any of the cars to Bobby, who sues. Bobby's lawsuit will probably A. Succeed, because Thomas is not present to contradict Bobby's version of events. B. Fail, because Bobby is a minor. C. Fail, because shoveling snow does not meet the standard of sufficient consideration for a promise to provide a car. D. Succeed, because courts generally do not rule on the relative value of consideration. Correct answer is D. Succeed, because courts generally do not rule on the relative value of consideration. Courts usually will not analyze the adequacy of consideration to determine if a bargain for promise or performance is equivalent in value to the counter-promise or performance. Question 976. The following statements are true regarding exclusive listing contracts, except A. They are employment contracts. B. They note a promise for a promise. C. They can be verbal. D. They are bilateral executory contracts. Correct answer is C. They can be verbal. All listing agreements must be in writing. An exclusive listing agreement includes a promise for a promise, making it a bilateral agreement. Listing agreements amount to an employment contract between seller and broker. Question 977. It is legally valid for a real estate agent to refuse to show a home to a person of color if A. The agent has a reasonable belief that the person of color would not be welcomed by other residents of the neighborhood. B. The agent is too busy with other prospective buyers. C. The owner specified in the listing that his property showing only be shown in his presence, and that owner is currently visiting another city. D. The agent is not a member of the National Association of Realtors and so is not bound by fair housing laws, nor is his client. Correct answer is C. The owner specified in the listing that his property showing only be shown in his presence, and that owner is currently visiting another city. An owner can restrict showings only if they are not discriminatory in nature. In this scenario, the requirement to show their property only when they are in town applies to everyone. Discrimination in showing a property to someone based on their race, religion, or national origin is never permissible. Question 978. A broker owns a property that a married couple wishes to buy. As a condition for the sale, the broker requires that the couple relist the property with the broker, list back, whenever the couple decide to sell it. Such an arrangement would be A. Valid. B. Valid if the purchasers pay with cash. C. Invalid under the Sherman Antitrust Act. D. Invalid under the provisions of anti-discrimination laws. Correct answer is C. Invalid under the Sherman Antitrust Act. The Sherman Antitrust Act prohibits tie-in agreements, such as this scenario of requiring a prospective buyer to perform a specific act in the future as a condition of the sale.